Boker Tov Charim, I'm Steve Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live, and a very somber message coming out of Russian news this morning. This is on IAREX.ru. Syria, 2 U.S. soldiers killed, 3 are wounded. According to the article here, Kurdish sources have reported an undermining of American armored vehicles in the vicinity of Raqqa. On October the 11th, an armored car was attacked by a suicide bomber while patrolling the vicinity of Raqqa. 2 U.S. Troops, James Breek and Gareth Rosef, were killed immediately, 3 seriously injured. 2 days before this blast, an attack on a car that belonged to the Syrian Democratic Forces took place in a similar way. He was engaged in the supply of ammunition to the front line. The driver of the car of his attendant were killed. They served in the ranks of the Kurdish security police, Asayish. The leader of the Syrian Democratic Forces believes that ISIS militants and organizations whose activities are banned in the Russian Federation are behind these attacks in the Syrian province of Raqqa. The sleeping cells of this organization have recently stepped up their activities. It should be noted that the Kurdish security forces and the American military supporting them also have ongoing conflicts with the local Arab population, which is forcibly mobilizing into the ranks of the Syrian Democratic Forces. As of yet, I just happened to see this just moments ago as I was going through Russian news, so I cannot, I have no idea if this has actually made Western media as of yet. I am kind of curious to know if that's the case there. This is where I saw the first photo of this right here, showing that the Humvee had been destroyed. And this, of course, I just following the link on that. I went to Twitter just to see if anyone had noted that U.S. soldiers had actually been killed in Syria, because it actually happens on the 11th, and of course 3 being wounded. No, there is no mention that I can see thus far. I have not seen anything on RT, anything in American media either, which is kind of surprising in relation to this there. We have here, U.S. soldiers killed that were in Iraq, but this is going way back quite a bit. I think it's just an analysis of how many actually died in Iraq. But nothing that I can see thus far that has reported the deaths of U.S. soldiers inside of Syria. And of course, the article actually naming the men as well, Gareth Rosef, and of course James, they put Break, this is going through Google Translate to actually translate the name, so we don't know for sure. But you would have thought by now this had already made mainstream media in the United States, and maybe it has, maybe I've just overlooked it because it was the 11th and here we are the 14th. Just now hearing about the patrol coming under attack by a suicide bomber in Syria. That's just terrible to hear such news as that. And, I really wish President Trump would do as he said he would do, and that is take American forces out of Syria. We really just don't have any business being there. I know the U.S. wanted to be able to get control of the pipeline that goes through there. Israel also wanting control of this pipeline. They're setting up their facility in Haifa to be able to accommodate the pipeline. But that cannot happen unless they overthrow the Syrian government. Now, if for some reason the United States decides that the Syrian government is to blame for these suicide bombers, the article is mentioning ISIS militants that carried the attack out, which is kind of a hard stretch to believe, seeing as we're seeing a lot of reports that the U.S. is facilitating transfers of the ISIS leadership. But nonetheless, if the U.S. decides that this is the responsibility of the Syrian government or even Russia, either one, I am sure that there will be a heavy price to pay, and we may see that coming in the very near future. Could happen any day at this point now, because it's always a tit for tat over in Syria. Once one set or they lose their forces, then there's a retaliatory measure, which could also escalate the situation in Syria. So anyway, we'll be watching for this. I would still have to say unconfirmed report. I know this is being reported in Russian media right now. Like I said, it's on IAREX.ru. The article just came out today, and so you can look this up yourself. It's in the Russian language, and we just have to wait and see when the United States will actually take the time to report this news. Anyway, we do send condolences to the families of those that have lost their loved ones there. I'm sure by now, if this is a bona fide article, I'm sure that it is. Families are aware of what's already happened there. Anyway, I'm Steve Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live. Shalom in a world of Ein Shalom. There is no peace.